Race fans, a warm welcome from all of us at 3Ride TV to the beautiful Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Tonight we have the SimPossible Racing League MS Forward Truck Series for 45 laps around this fast but extremely tough racetrack, measuring just under 2.5 miles. This race represents the only international stop in the MS Forward Truck Series, as well as the only road course event on schedule. And Peter, knowing how good you are at road course racing, you know that it's a completely different challenge than oval racing. What is going to be the key to being fast here tonight?
Well, it's like any road course. One of the keys is turning right. That doesn't sound too difficult, but for some of these drivers that turn left a lot, turning right is a completely foreign conception to them. And definitely, you got to use your brakes as much as possible at a track like this. And brakes being super important on getting your balance of your truck into the corner and carrying that weight all the way through the corner. At a track like Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, there's a few really important corners here. Definitely you want to get a great launch out of Moss Corner down the Mario Andretti straightaway to really set up passing zones and just getting your corners right. There are certain corners where it doesn't hurt you too much if you get it wrong, but then there are some which can be super costly.
And of course, turning right sounds simple enough, but these trucks, of course, designed to turn left, and that's what they do best. Really not set up for road course racing. Of course, these setups are going to be as tuned to the right turns as they can be, but still, there's just so much you can do with a vehicle that's primarily suited for oval racing. But anyway, for those of you who missed it last week, Kyle Zimmer out-dueled David Wilson to take the checkered flag at Bristol, earning him an automatic berth into the next round of the playoffs, meaning that this race, of course, he still wants to win it, but not too important for him. He can just kind of come in here, and doesn't really matter if he has a bad run or not, but I'm sure he's going to want to anyway. And being that this track is a Canadian event, you got to think the two Canadians in the field right now, Dave Wilson and Chris Burge, are going to be wanting to win this just a little bit more. And not something we talk about a lot, but home track advantage, even in sim racing, you kind of just want to do well at your home tracks, and I got to imagine that's going to be a thing tonight.
Yeah, look at the practice times. We already have Dave Wilson, one of those Canadian drivers, up top of the board. There you see the number 98, Christopher Burge. He's taking time out there here in practice. And we only have about 3.5 minutes left. And like I said, Dave Wilson, one of those Canadian drivers, pacing us currently with a 1 minute 20.04, and about 4/10 off of him is AJ Digby. Dominic Lee about another 3.5 behind Digby. Looks like Roberge has gone for a spin tonight. Kyle Zimmer is currently 4th on the charts. Kevin Paskowicz 5th on the charts. Chris Roberge, Kevin Cochran, Fernando Matos, Billy Wise, Nate Catilla round out your top 10 here in practice. And rounding out the field is Alan Capers. Matthew Lesniewski, who's a newcomer to the MS Forward Truck Series. Great to see him on track and joining us here. Tom Johnson and Brian Lowhead round out your field here with about 2 3/4 minutes left. Cameron, it's going to be a night about not making mistakes because there's no cautions here.
Yeah, you're very right about that. And we're definitely going to have at least one pit stop in this race, and this pit road, is not flat in the slightest, so it's going to be pretty challenging to keep under pit road speed. Make sure you don't get a speeding penalty and get in your box smoothly and just get a all-around good pit stop. So I know firsthand that can be a challenge at a track like this, but it'll be very cool to see what these guys can do. Of course, it's going to be a very physical race tonight. This track very fast, very flowing, very old school per se. The only tight corner on the track is this upcoming, that's not the upcoming Moss Corner, but the Moss Corner. It's the tightest corner on the track. It's going to be your slowest corner and probably your best passing zone. But every other corner on this track is very quick, and there is not much room for error. If you get one of those corners wrong, you can be flying off the track into a wall pretty quickly.
Yeah, and one thing about corners here is this track just flows. It just flows together. Like you said, it's got that old school feel to it. And you can see from high atop our blimp camera here that all the corners just kind of roll into one another. And it's very important to get your lines on entry and exit correct, because here one corner just leads into another corner, and if you mess up the exit of one corner, you can greatly compromise your entry into the next corner and just lose a lot of time. So definitely at a track like Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, you really just want to hit your marks, find your rhythm, because there is definitely a rhythm to be had at this track with just how it flows together.
And we will see that come into play tonight. And, you know, we got 43 seconds left in practice here. Of course, these drivers have made probably, you know, probably a fuel run. I don't exactly know how much the fuel run is tonight. See Christopher Burge get a little bit loose there. That's probably going to be one of the trouble spots tonight, right off that Moss corner, because that, of course, like we said, is the slowest part of the track, and it's so hard to get the rear tires hooked up off that corner and get that good run down the back straight. Of course, that back straight quite long, but this truck's having about 650 or so horsepower, so not much tire for those horses to get down on the pavement here. But
and they'll get really slippery with all that horsepower as the run continues to go on. You might have some grip for your first few laps, but after a while, these drivers will be pedaling it after the corner. As we head to the qualifying session, it does show up there that there's 10 minutes of qualifying, but hopefully we won't have to use all that. I know the league organizer, Jeff Schmidt, he said that once these drivers do complete their laps, he hopes to advance the session to race a little bit earlier. As you see, first man out, driver number 7, Kevin Paskowicz. And Cameron, as Kevin takes time around this track, kind of just talk us through a lap here.
Well, we see Kevin Paskett coming up here to turn number 4, I believe, and that is the, it's a long right-hander. Really important to not, turn number 3, excuse me, really important to not fly off the track there. And going down here into the Moss corner, this is going to be your hardest braking zone on the track. Really important to get the car cut in here, hit that curb a little bit, go on the outside, you can touch that curb, get it cut in here and get this good run off, get those rear tires hooked up, and you're going to get a good run down this back straightaway. You're going to hit probably in the range of about 140, 50 miles an hour at the end of the straight. You have a very long right-hander coming up here. Very important to not go off the track here. Really important not to go off the track anywhere, but this is your fastest point of the track right here. Get it cut in nice and early, and then you have a quick switch back to the left right here. You're going to want to probably clip that curve, and then you have another quick switch back to the right here. I believe this is the second slowest corner on the track, and you go across the start-finish line right here. And this turn 1 right here is probably one of the toughest corners on the track because it's a blind entry and you cannot see the apex. You just kind of have to just guess your way in there. But a very tough track indeed, Peter. I've raced here a couple times myself. I'm a big fan of it. What do you think of this place?
Oh, I'm totally with you. I mean, I know some of these drivers, they won't be enjoying turning right tonight, but of all the tracks to turn right at, for me personally, Motorsport's up there on one of my most favorite tracks to race because, like I said, it just flows together. And as a driver, I feel like you can really attack this track, but it's kind of a risk versus reward because you attack it, and all of a sudden the truck can get away from you, or you can hit a curb just the wrong way and it can upset the truck. But I really, really love this track, and there's some corners here that are just unique to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park that you won't find anything like it anywhere else in the world. As you see, Alan Capers, he's working through Moss Corner and heads onto the Mario Andretti straightaway. It's really, really fun track.
Indeed it is, and there's one particular spot in this track that I know is probably my trouble spot, actually a couple corners before where we see Alan Capers at right now, is that turn number 2, I believe. It's the second corner left-hander, and that's a blind entry just as turn number 1 is, but there's a huge bump on the entry of the corner that if you hit that, it'll make your front end bounce a little bit, and it can potentially send you careening off the track. And I know that's one of my trouble spots. Probably we're going to see Alan Capers go through that corner here in just a minute. He's going through turn number 1 right now, taking a very shallow entry, getting right next to that inside wall. Actually, coming up right here on the very inside of the track. Yeah, I think we switched to the 7 of Kevin Paskowicz, but very important not to hit that bump because that will really upset the truck.
Yeah, Alan Capers definitely worked his way around that bump just before we switched over to Kevin Paskowicz in at number 7. There's number 25, Kyle Zimmer. He's working his way through the S's here. That's turn number 8 and 9 before turn number 10, which is White's Corner. Headed onto the front stretch here, trying to use every little inch of the road. And Cameron, you know very well that can sometimes bite you, because on these qualifying laps, if you even get a 1x at some point during this track, it will disqualify your lap time. So all these drivers trying to keep it on the black stuff. As we're right on board with AJ Digby as he enters through the S's. I know you said it, Cameron, but that last little S section, it's pretty difficult to get hard on the binders, get those trucks woed up before the entry to turn number 8. And then you just kind of snake your way up through 8, 9, and 10, but Digby's going to head to the line here this time, as Dave Wilson currently is on the provisional pole with a 120.183, so he was just about able to back up his his practice lap time. Dominic Lee is currently second. He was also almost able to back up his practice times. Ooh, Chris Roberge, he's off rallycrossing here. Rallycross newly added to the iRacing service, but I don't think that's exactly what Chris Roberge wanted to do there, as we now focus back on the number 14 of AJ Digby. Trying to get a lap in here in that machine. He has yet to set a time here in this qualifying session. Gets a little bit slideways through Moss Corner onto the Mario Andretti straightaway once again. Hard and up through those gears.
Of course, that Moss Corner complex is a very downhill braking zone, about a couple hundred feet of elevation change there, so brakes not going to work like you would expect, and it's really, we see a lot of people overshoot, even though they would have probably made the corner otherwise, but just really tough spot on the track there.
Yeah, Digby with a really late apex through turn number 8, trying to straighten up the corner into turn number 9. Here he goes through White's Corner again to the line. We'll see what kind of lap time he puts in. It looked like a pretty solid lap, and indeed it was. AJ Digby jumps to second on the board, so AJ, who was second in practice, now backs it up with a second place qualifying lap time, and he's going to see if he can find something more on lap number 2.
Yeah, and of course, AJ Digby, kind of want to give a shout out to him. He was featured in an article by NCAA.com about his track and field accomplishments, so that's a really cool deal. Good to see him getting some national notoriety per se, but really he actually went about a tenth or about half a tenth quicker than his practice lap, so good to see him pick up a little bit of speed. And you know, you don't really see a lot of trucks pick up on their second lap here, or not here, but in general around any racetrack. But at this track, I've noticed that you can actually do that. It's you know, getting those tires warmed up can actually help you a little bit.
Yeah, and definitely just finding your rhythm on your first lap definitely helps with that second lap just a little bit, as Digby hits the double apex turn number 8 into 9. He snakes through into turn number 10, and this will be Digby's second flying. Ooh, he hit that curve just a little bit too hard there at a turn number 10. I think that probably invalidated that lap time. Indeed it did, so Digby wasn't quite able to get that second lap in, but he was obviously going for every little bit there to see if he could snatch that pole away from Dave Wilson. But as of now, the track has gone quiet, and all these drivers will now start to focus towards this 45-lap race.
I want to give a shout out to all of our chatters, all of our iRacing Live viewers, and we do appreciate all the chats you give us in the chat. So, you know, you keep us occupied up here in the booth while Carlos yells at us in behind the scenes. But we do love Carlos. Carlos is awesome, and love all of our viewers. Appreciate them every week. But,
absolutely, it's a lot of fun getting to do this each and every week. But the session now has been advanced to race, so your pole sitter will be Dave Wilson in that number 20 truck, and he put in a pretty darn good lap, Cameron.
Yeah, and that's not something that we are very surprised about, because he has won 7 races this season, and obviously going to go for number 8 today. Can't start anywhere better than the pole, so he's getting his race off to a good start.
And you and I know starting on the pole is a very important thing at a road course, and that man is Like we said, driver number 20, Dave Wilson, and starting alongside him is driver of the number 14, AJ Digby.
In row number 2, we have the number 2 truck of Dominic Lee and the number 7 of Kevin Paskowicz.
On row number 3, we have driver of the number 25, last week's winner at Bristol Motor Speedway, Kyle Zimmer, and alongside him is the number 17 of Fernando Matos.
Alan Caper is going to roll off E7 in that beautiful pink magenta number 13 machine, and Nick Cantilla rounds out row number 4 on the outside.
Starting in the 9th position is driver number 32 machine, Billy Wise, and alongside him is the driver of the number 56, Tom Johnson, in that Toyota.
Kevin Cochran, the first driver not to take a time, is going to roll out P11, and to his outside, the other Canadian in the field, Chris Burge in the 98 machine.
And it really is a Toyota. It's sponsored by Toyota. It's a Toyota Tundra. On row number 7, driver number 24 machine, newcomer to the league, Matthew Lesniewski. He's looking for a good start to his MS4 Truck Series career. He starts from the 13th position, and alongside him, driver of the number 66 machine. We've seen him start shotgun on the field multiple times this year. That's Brian Lowhead in the 66.
And that rounds out your 14 truck field for this 45 lap event, and this should go by fairly quickly. 45 laps is not, that long on a less than 2.5 mile road course, and we will not have cautions tonight, at least not full course cautions, and really on iRacing that means no cautions, so should not have any issues whatsoever.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a race of endurance here. Some of these drivers have partaken in the 12 hours of Bathurst, the 24 hours of Daytona. Well, the lessons that they have learned from those endurance races will be paramount here tonight. It's all about getting to the finish. One simple mistake, going off track at the wrong spot, hitting the wall, getting loose, whatever, it could really put a hamper on your race because there are no cautions to get back in it.
And as we see in the background of the picture right here, really no runoff at this track whatsoever, so mistakes are going to cost you either by just losing a lot of time in the grass or getting your truck stuffed into a tire barrier or a concrete wall. It's a very, very old school track, very demanding, and that's why it's pretty popular for a lot of drivers, because it really takes everything that you have to get around this track quickly and safely.
And just one last comment for you Canadian fans out there. Dave Wilson, he's Canadian. He's on the pole looking for a home W. Chris Roberge, another Canadian. You see him sporting Canadian colors tonight. He'll be starting off in the 12th position.
But coming through the last set of corners here, the pace car is going to dive off here quite late. Field in the hands of Dave Wilson, and the green flag is out. Dave Wilson actually does not get going very well at all. AJ Digby shoots off to the lead, and that's going to be good for his chances into turn number 1. He has the clean track in front of him, no trucks whatsoever, and you can see this field starting to string out a little bit single file. Going to turn number 2. Going to be really important here not to go off track like Dave Wilson almost does. Trying to go on the outside of that corner, but all is good. No harm, no foul. He's going to keep going.
Yeah, turn number 2, which is called Clayton Corner, is definitely one of those spots where you can make a move, but usually you have to get to the inside of another truck to make that move. This time you saw Dave Wilson had no grip out there. There's very, very little grip out there, but look at the number 2, Dominic Lee. He's kind of closing in on the back bumper of the number 20 of Dave Wilson as everyone works their way nice and slowly through Moss Corner before they head on this Mario Andretti straightaway, named after, of course, the legendary driver. And as they all head down that straightaway, they're getting up to speeds of 160 miles an hour. Dominic Lee has fallen just a little bit off the back of Dave Wilson for that battle for the 2nd position, as looks like everyone's kind of got strung out. Ooh, Digby, yep, he didn't quite get on the brakes well enough. He opened up the door for Dave Wilson. Dave Wilson's going to take that lead back, but that 160 mile an hour caught out Digby there, as Dave Wilson takes the lead back and leads the first lap.
Yeah, that corner, of course, it's a fast corner, but relatively, these trucks don't have much braking or aero whatsoever compared to most cars that would race here. So you have to get on those binders pretty hard, and just saw Digby get caught out a little bit by that, lost a bit of time, but no issues whatsoever. He's going to keep going, but now is about a second behind the leader of the race now, Dave Wilson.
Riding on board with the number 25, Kyle Zimmer, and Zimmer's looking up ahead. He's got the number 7, Kevin Paskowicz, right in front of him. So all these drivers, I'm sure they'll have some patience at this point in the race. You know, it's a fairly long race. You don't want to make a mistake early on. Ooh, Kyle Zimmer closes right in. A little bit of brake lock up there from the left front of that number 25 truck. As he's going to lose just a little bit of time due to that brake lock up on Paskowicz as they head down the straightaway. You know, Cameron, it's pretty difficult here to follow a truck really closely through Moss Corner because the speeds are so slow. You end up getting right up on the back bumper of another truck, and sometimes that just kind of hinders you just a tad.
Yeah, you're very right about that, and of course, most of these corners are blind in nature anyway, so you have to really find markers to brake and turn in that aren't on the track surface per se. Like, see power lines above the track. That's usually what I would use. But just really hard to follow trucks here at all, and just because of the speeds and the nature of the track. We see Fernando Matos following Kyle Zimmer. That's a battle for 5th place. Fernando putting in a good showing right now. I saw a couple of his fans in chat, so going to be good to see. Hopefully he can get a good run out of this race.
A little bit further back in the pack, Matthew Lesniewski, he spun his number 24 truck right in front of the broadcast booth in turn number 10. So that number 24 truck currently a little bit up to pace, or off the pace, excuse me, but he's trying to get that machine back up to speed. Looks like it's running on all of the cylinders as, ooh, Brian Lowhead's gone off in turn number 2. I know this is not what you're seeing on screen, but just trying to follow some of the action here throughout the field. Lowhead back on track in that number 66.
And,
so, go ahead.
Excuse me, looks like Fernando Matos has gotten by Zimmer. Looks like Zimmer actually lost a couple spots, so I'm not sure what happened there. He's got some damage on the right rear, so I gotta assume he got into something or got hit by something. But either way, move Fernando Matos up to position number 5. Yes,
yeah,
that's 5th place.
Yeah, Kyle Zimmer out of turn number 3, the Quebec corner. He just got on the power just a little bit too early, and that number 25 machine shot right. And unfortunately for him, he picked up some right side damage when he hit the wall. So got to keep an eye on that for Kyle Zimmer. But looks like at this point, he's able to keep that thing on track, and pretty much no harm, no foul at this point. But look at Digby. Digby has not lost too much ground off the back of Dave Wilson. In fact, last time by, I'm looking at times, Dominic Lee in the number 2 machine was the fastest truck out there. It was about 4/10 faster than Dave Wilson. So that number 2 truck's coming, and oh, Dave Wilson's off! Here he goes through Moss Corner, and it spun it. He's spinning it around, trying to get back going straight. The Canadian Dave Wilson around at Moss Corner, gonna get back going, but he's gonna drop all the way back to the 5th position now, and man, looks like the number 13, Alan Capers was looking for a move, but looks like he just didn't quite hit the apex as well as he could have, and sent it right around, Cameron.
And that's such an easy thing to do, Peter. You just, that downhill braking zone, and then it goes sharply uphill, and it can really just throw your truck all sorts of out of whack. And, that could have been a much bigger accident than it was. Good thing that he got going and no one else was involved, but definitely did lose a lot of time. He's going to want to get back up there as soon as possible. And we were talking about that, Peter. Just cannot make those mistakes because you will not have the opportunity to recover. He's now 9 seconds behind Digby, and that's going to be a tough order to make all that time back up.
Absolutely, and he's looking to the inside here of Alan Capers. He thinks better of it for the moment, but definitely Dave Wilson, he's got a lot of work to do if he's going to chase down Digby and Dominic Lee up at the front. There, just in front of Wilson, is the 13 of Capers, and in front of him is Fernando Matos, who's had a great start, worked his way up from the 6th to the 4th position. So good run for Fernando. We've seen him with some good showing so far since he... Oh, look at Alan Capers. Capers now off the track. Capers gets it woed up just enough to keep it going straight. Oh, Zimmer. Kyle Zimmer almost nosed it into the inside wall there. He was able to get it stopped, but now that we're getting a little bit of action, I think these tracks are getting a little bit slippery out there. Maybe these tires are, their newness has worn off just a little bit, as it just looked like a little bit of throttle too early, and Kyle Zimmer went for a half spin.
And that was really a good piece of driving to keep off the wall, because that was about as close as you can get to it without hitting it. So, you know, like we were saying, just getting those 650 or so horses hooked up to the ground off that corner is pretty hot, or pretty hard. And speaking of hot, the track is pretty hot. It's about 97 degrees right now. But really, not so many issues to be had so far in this race. We've seen a couple issues here and there, but no major ones, no wrecked trucks or anything like that. So that's pretty good to see through 6 laps.
Yeah, and you know, that 97-degree Fahrenheit track temperature, I'm looking at fall off right now, and AJ Digby, that last lap was about 0.8 of a second slower than his fastest lap of the race.
Actually, excuse me, I spoke too soon. We saw Brian Lowhead go off the track right in front of the leader, AJ Digby, in Moss corner. A lot of damage to that truck, so it looks like he nosed it into the tire barrier pretty hard. That's going to affect his race pretty badly.
You just had to say something, didn't you?
I just had to say something. That commentator curse.
You just had to say something. Commentators curse, Cameron. It strikes even the best of us.
How about that alliteration, though?
Man, I'll tell you what. Brian Lowhead, though, he is still out on track in that number 66 machine. He is nursing it back to pit road. These drivers do get fast repairs here in the SimPossible MS Ford Truck Series. Oh, the 24, Matthew Lesniewski. Cameron, definitely, I gotta say now, without a doubt, these trucks have gotten really slippery out there because of the tire wear and the track temperature.
Yeah, you're right about that. It just that corner, it seems like it's Calamity Corner tonight, right off Moss Corner, and just getting that power hooked up on the track. It's really catching these guys out. But we saw one driver who hasn't had any issues. That's the 7 of Kevin Paskovich, having a very good race.
Brian Lowhead there, finally able to make it back to pit road. Let's watch to see what happens here on the replay. He made it to pit road here, and oh, he tried to take it to the garage, but iRacing said no thanks, and told him to go to pit road there, as he finally has made it just about back to his pit stall. But there is the number 20 of Dave Wilson, and looks like Wilson has worked his way around Fernando Matos. So move Dave Wilson up into the 4th position, Matos slipping back to 5th. Wilson, that last time by, was about 12 seconds behind Digby, so Digby and Dominic Lee up in the front with a pretty torrid pace. Kevin Paskovich about 6 seconds off the race lead, as there is the number 24, Matthew Lesniewski. He's made it back to pit road as well with Brian Lowhead. But there's Fernando Matos, running a pretty clean race for himself. We'll watch this as he goes into turn number 2, Clayton Corner. Hits that apex right there, that early apex, lets that truck wash out just a little bit. Hits that second apex, and that's how you get through Clayton Corner fast. You've got to hit those apexes there, because that's pretty much where all the grip is in that corner.
Yeah, and you kind of see it on the shot here. That truck bouncing around horrendously. This track is super bumpy, and that really plays into how these trucks handle, or more aptly, don't handle. Feels like a boat kind of driving around the track, just because of all those bumps. And this surface is relatively old. I believe it was repaved back in 2000 or so. But you know, Canadian winters are quite harsh, so the pavement does wear pretty quickly, and it's pretty much well past its use-by date. But does make for some fun racing, and I know I love driving on here. You see Digby just using all of the track and some. It's really trying to wring that truck out for all it's worth, trying to stay ahead of that number 2 of Dominic Lee.
So this time by will be Dave Wilson's first lap without being behind Fernando Matos. And guys, let me tell you, Dave Wilson just put in an absolute flyer with a 121.157, which is only about a half second off the fastest lap of the race so far, which is held by Dominic Lee. But that last lap, Digby was about a second faster than AJ Digby. So yes, he is down at this point, but he definitely isn't out because we still have plenty of laps to go, 36.5 to be exact. As, Digby's starting to lose some time to Dominic Lee. That number 2 truck starting to close in just a little bit. And it looked like that number 14 truck of Digby got a little bit swirly coming out of Moss Corner. I'm wondering if maybe that 14 machine is starting to want some tires.
Yeah, it looks like under braking, that thing is just not hooked up whatsoever, and it might be a little bit intimidated, per se, behind, or looking in his mirror, seeing that 2 truck kind of run him down. And Peter, you know that kind of the oldest trick in the book of road racing tactics is to just kind of be in someone's mirrors and wait till they make a mistake. So you might be seeing that put to use by the number 2 truck.
Yeah, and Digby's definitely making use of as much curb as possible. I noticed that Lee is just not using as much curb, and I think that's helping him get some bite up off these corners and get those rear tires to hook up. As here comes Digby. Digby now going into turn number 3. Off to his right, you'll see Brian Lowhead in the number 66 machine. There he is. He's made his way back on track. Obviously, he was being shown the blue flags by the iRacing official for the 2 race leaders as they blast on by in the number 14 and the number 2. But great battle here. Dominic Lee definitely not going away. In fact, last time by, Dominic Lee was the fastest truck on the track. So definitely that number 2 machine is lightning quick here.
Yeah, and we're going to come by the lap truck of the number 56 of Tom Johnson here in just a moment. I got to imagine he'll just kind of move out of the way for these 2 leaders. And really, looks like these guys are just swapping lap times back and forth. And I think AJ Digby finally got a hold of that truck. He's keeping on the track a little bit better. Looks a little bit smoother than he did before. And just kind of doing his own thing, not worrying about that truck behind him.
And if you are a Dave Wilson fan or a Kevin Paskowich fan, Kevin is now under fire by Dave Wilson. In fact, here comes Dave Wilson to the left side. He's going to go the hard way around the outside of the number 7 machine. So Dave Wilson now has moved the number 20 Toyota back up into the 3rd position as he tries to hunt down that lead pack that he was with about 5 or 6 laps ago before losing the lead to Digby in the 14.
Yeah, and the gap about 10 seconds, plus or minus a couple, but a couple of seconds or tenths. But really, that might sound like a lot, Peter, but really, at a road course, that's not that much. And if you can run, say, half a tenth or half a second quicker per lap, that'll be gone by the end of this race, definitely. And of course, we do have pit stops coming. I can't imagine before too long, so that's another opportunity to gain or lose a lot of time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's, a couple strategies to when to pit. Do you want to pit early and go for the undercut, make use of some fresher tires that are a little bit more grippier and a little bit faster? Or do you think you have the pace for an overcut and get around the other truck by just, turning some really fast lap times while they come down pit road? Because I know, sometimes on a road course it's really difficult to pass. As you see this battle going on, this battle is between Alan Capers and Kevin Cochran for the 7th position, and there's Kyle Zimmer on the corner of your screen, and the number 25, he's in the 9th position. Zimmer able to keep that number 25 truck clean since his 2 little off-track excursions. Trying to now get around the 13 of Capers and the 80 of Cochran. Looks like Kevin Cochran got a really good run out of turn number 10, not able to do anything down into turn number 1. There's Alan Capers running that Alan Capers line. I think that's the best way to put that line. And here comes Cochran to his right side, trying to go around the outside in turn number 2. We've seen Wilson try to do that earlier. Really tough to do so, but Cochran got a great run out of the corner, and I think he's going to make the move. Ooh, almost contact there in Quebec corner, but Cochran finally clears the number 13, so move Kevin Cochran up into P7.
And you got to think Kyle Zimmer is staring through his windshield thinking, what is going on here? Alan Capers misses the corner, and he's going to lose that spot to Kyle Zimmer. But probably now he's thinking, thank you very much, I'll take that. But that's the second time we've seen Alan Capers do that, and he it looks like he kind of knows when he gets in trouble because he just jams on the brakes and doesn't even think about letting the truck make the corner. So
That's a smart move.
definitely, yeah, very smart move, because we've seen that what can happen when you do miss that corner. Of course, David Wilson did, and now he's lost about 9 seconds. So you know, losing 1 second is a lot better than losing 9. So good, smart driving there.
Yeah, and this time by Dave Wilson was about 0.2 faster than AJ Digby, who definitely fastest truck out there. It's gotten down to about 9.1 seconds between Wilson and Digby. But Dominic Lee has dropped a little bit further back from Digby, so Lee now about a second off the back of the number 14 truck. And I think Digby, he might have lost his rhythm there for a couple of laps, and he's found that rhythm back. He isn't hitting those curves as hard anymore, as Wilson got really all up out of shape coming out of Moss Corner. He's finally back going, but he definitely had to check the throttle a little bit because he was headed into the inside wall and just had to back out of it and really got a really poor. There's Chris Roberge. He's actually done the same thing. Watch this. Kevin Cochran going for the avoidance there in the number 80 machine. Luckily able to avoid Roberge. We'll watch this on replay. I think this is almost exactly what happened to his teammate, Dave Wilson. Yes. That's he clipped the inside wall. That's pretty much what almost happened to Dave Wilson. But Wilson was able to get off the throttle just a little bit sooner and was able to not hit the wall. But Roberge had a really good run going. He's now being passed by Alan Capers. Well, I say that. He's actually fending off Alan Capers. Alan in the 9th position. So Roberge will drop back to 8th currently. But he's got the 2 trucks right for. We've had a pass for the race lead. While we're talking about it, Dominic Lee in the number 2 Toyota has worked his way to the front. We'll have to see if we can get a replay on how that happened. It looks like at that point Dominic Lee was already ahead of Digby. Let's see. Look at this there. So this is coming out of Moss Corner, the slowest point on the track. Everything's clean through there. As they go up through the gears. Looks like Lee was probably about 0.9 of a second back. So Cameron, we saw Digby have some problems in turn number 8 before tonight. I wonder if the same thing happened here.
I think that's going to be the case. Yeah, he just missed the corner right there. It goes way wide, and luckily that's the only part of the track where there is any sort of runoff whatsoever. But either way, Digby has caught back up Dominic Lee's rear bumper, and gotta imagine he's probably going to be making a move for that race lead again. He's of course a championship driver, and going to be wanting to get this race win and get that automatic berth to the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely, and I know that's definitely on Digby's mind. He's definitely going to want to get that win because a free. The leader's coming up on Brian Lowhead. Dominic Lee has to do some evasive action. Here comes AJ Digby. He's showing the nose. Thinks a little better of it here, but Digby's going to get a pretty good run out of Moss Corner onto the Mario Andretti straightaway. So we'll have to see maybe if he can make a move in turn 8, which is quite ironic if he can, because that's where he just went off. But it looks like he might just be a little bit too far back to make that move this lap.
Yeah, and really that lap truck just really messed up both of these trucks. See some connection issues for the 14, but everything seems to be good right now. Definitely not. I saw the 2 get a little bit wiggly there and missed the entry to the last corner, but he's going to gather it back up. And this is pretty good racing for the lead, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Digby is really loose on entry.
And Dave Wilson, a couple laps ago, when he got all sideways out of Moss Corner off camera, he lost a ton of time. But this time he picked up 1.6 seconds in that number 20 truck. So he was 9 seconds back, then he fell back to about 10.5 seconds back. Now he's back to 8 seconds off the lead truck of Dominic Lee.
See the 24 there of Matthew Lesniewski having some issues. Just got lapped by the race leaders and has some damage on that truck. So probably not the debut he wants tonight, but this battle for the lead still not going away. Those two trucks still very much nose to tail, and you know, this battle is probably going to go all the way to the pit stops and even afterwards.
Absolutely. For you Brian Lowhead fans out there, the number 66 machine has worked his way back to pit road. He spun out of turn number 1 and had to take a tow, unfortunately. So hopefully that number 66 will get back in it. Oh, Nate Catilla in the number 4 machine. He doesn't sound like he's the biggest fan of road course racing, but he's kept it on the road so far up until this point. Here he is going into Moss Corner. That's turn number 5 and into turn number 6. What happened here? Not here. Let's see if we can see where he went off here. You see the leaders racing right back behind them. But it looks like this might just be another turn 8 incident. Ooh, he dipped the wheels onto the grass there, and it sent that number 4 machine rally crossing through the infield here, going through turns number 9. The number 24, Matthew Lesniewski, he's made it back to pit road, but look at this battle for the race lead. You haven't missed a pass or anything, but definitely these two going at it, and kind of a role reversal from what we were talking about earlier, Cameron. Now Digby, he's going to be the one who's just going to be in the mirror of that number 2 truck, trying to force the number 2 into making a mistake. And as you saw just on the corner of your screen for a brief moment there going down the Mario Andretti straightaway, the number 20 of Dave Wilson is coming. He's now only 5 seconds off the race, 7 seconds. And so, according to the broadcast now, it's 6.2.
Yeah, he's running about a whole second quicker than both trucks ahead of him, and that gap past the line now, 6 seconds exactly. So, if he keeps up that pace, he's gonna catch them fairly shortly here. So that's a very, very quick lap times he's running right now.
Yeah, he's running a 121.8 to the leader's 122.7. So pretty much a second difference between the leader and Dave Wilson. And I think if that number 20 truck can keep it clean, we've seen that kind of be his problem so far in this race. I think he's got a really good shot of getting this win, as Digby got a really good run through turn number 6 out of Moss Corner, and don't think he's going to be able to do anything with it down this long straightaway as of yet. But it seemed like that number 14 truck just gripped up and got a good launch out of the corner. As we're getting reports that the number 24, Matthew Lesniewski, he has taken that machine to the garage for the night.
56, Tom Johnson off track, but gets it going again. So some issues here and there, but not the debut that Matthew Lesniewski's going to want to have. But anyway, yeah, he probably picked not the easiest track to come into, but hope to see him again next week, definitely. Always good to see new drivers join the SimPossible Racing League.
Absolutely, and if you are new to us here on either 3Wide TV or iRacing Live, and you're seeing the SimPossible MS4 Truck Series for the first time, we welcome you, and I want to let you know that the SimPossible Racing League is a league for disabled drivers, and each one of these drivers in this field has some sort of disability which slightly impairs them or moderately impairs them in their ability to drive these cars in the ways that, you know, it would be somewhat difficult to overcome. And these drivers do an absolute fantastic job at every track we go to. I mean, we've been to dirt races, we raced at Eldora, we're racing here on a road course, and all of these drivers with some form of disability putting on an absolute show, driving the wheels off these things. I mean, we've seen them 3 and 4 wide this season across every single type of racetrack in NASCAR, and they just put on a great show each and every week. So come on back, join us next week. We have the B-Car series on Wednesday nights here on 3Wide TV, and they all just put on such a show that, you know, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and really, No, I don't really want to even use the word impaired. Of course, that's what this league is all about. But you know, when we see these drivers branch off to other series and official racing, other leagues and stuff like that, and you know they can put it with the best of them, it really just shows that they can do anything anyone else can do, and that's really what it's all about. That these drivers are good anywhere they go.
Alan Capers made the pass there on Billy Wise, so move Alan Capers up into the 9th position. Watch. Oh, back up front, really close between the number 14. Ooh, looks like Digby got a little bit squirrely out of there. But yeah, Cameron, these drivers, you know, some of them race with different types of rigs than you normally would see out there, and they do just such a fantastic job of it, you know, racing to what they have. And using just the amazing skills. Definitely go out and check not only MS Forward, definitely a sponsor for the league, but the SimAbility and some of the other options that these drivers have, because they make the most of their tools out here on the racetrack and do it with such skill. It definitely amazes me each and every week, regardless of what track we go to.
So I've been watching this for the lead, and it looks like AJ Digby is a little bit quicker on the first half of the track, but once they get to that Moss corner up here and a couple corners, that 2 truck of Dominic Lee is a little bit quicker, gets a better run out of the corner. He's able to gap Digby on the straightaway, but here you see Dominic Lee taking a very, very wide line to that corner. I'm not sure if he just missed it or if that's the line he's running. Either way, it does give him a good exit speed regardless, and he is better than Digby a little bit on the exit of right here. You're going to see him probably gap the 14 just a little bit, and he does. Yes, he gets a better run out and able to keep him that lead.
Yeah, it looks like he's able to just get a really good launch out of there. Able to get the throttle down a little bit. Maybe his line is just a little bit straighter up off the corner, so his weight is more focused into going forward. His momentum can be... My producer said, did I call him fat? That's not what I said, Mr. Producer. You know, he's just able to get the power down just a little bit better. You see Nate Catilla going around the lap truck of Brian Lowhead. Lowhead still running around here. Good to see him see this one out. As right in front of him is Fernando Matos. Haven't really focused too much on Matos in a while, but he's kept that number 17 truck nice and clean, and he's currently running in the 5th position. It's a good run for him.
And that's a nice truck. Those Haviland colors are classic on any race car or race truck. So good to see him having a good run, a quiet run, but we've seen him have so much bad luck in his tenure in the SimPossible Racing League, so hopefully he can keep it together. Back here at the front, battle for the lead still going on. That 2 truck has not let the 14 by him. Oh, the 56 in the wall pretty hard. I was just looking over there. So we see Kyle Zimmer on pit road, so I think that is our first taker of the night as far as pit stops go. So we'll see if he can make up any time on those new fresh tires he's going to have, and of course he's going to want to. He's going to love having the extra grip. Oh yeah, see he's 15 or the 56 there, just missed the corner before Nate Catilla misses turn number 2 there. Way out in the grass doing some landscaping, but all is good with that truck. He gets it going again. And AJ Digby in the pits, so he has taken that 14 machine into pit road, probably trying to undercut Dominic Lee just a little bit. And we'll have to see if Dominic does come to pit road next time. I have to imagine that he will. And the gap to the lead for David Wilson down to under 4 seconds, 3.8 to be exact right now as of last lap. So he is coming, but we'll have to see if he ducks into the pits with Dominic. And I have to imagine that he will, because those fresh tires are going to be a huge grip advantage when the AJ Digby comes out of pit road.
Yeah, I would much rather be on fresh tires here at this point in this. Oh no! AJ Digby! That's not how he wants to use those fresh tires, I'm sure. He's got cold tires and just kind of went off there in turn number 2. Very easy to do. But now Digby's kind of put himself in a little bit of a hole, and Dominic Lee probably doesn't know that Digby just ran wide there, and we'll have to see what Dominic decides to do this time as he's working through turns 8 and 9. But man, that's a disaster for that number 14 machine. Dominic Lee does dive down pit road, so he's definitely seen what Digby did last lap, and he's adjusting. Dave Wilson also pitting. This is the halfway point of this race, so the halfway leader will get a bonus point, as we'll now only have 22 laps to go. That halfway leader will be Dominic Lee in that number 2 truck. And here comes Dave Wilson in the number 20 machine. Oh no! Dominic Lee missed a stall. Both of them missed their stall. Both of them now hitting their stall. Oh, Dave Wilson still hasn't hit his stall. This is absolutely, oh man, this is the race possibly for them. Finally, both of them make their pit box, but just as we're saying, this could be disaster for AJ Digby. Both Dave Wilson and Dominic Lee missed their pit stall. We'll have to keep an eye. Oh, Digby's back on pit road. What happened here? Either he was caught speeding, or maybe he didn't take fuel, or didn't take tires, or something. But Digby's back on pit road, so this is disaster for the number 14 machine. He's still sitting there.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what went on there, but this whole pit road sequence has been kind of a mess. We saw it looks like every single truck that came to pit road has missed their pit stall, and it really reminded me of the last time I raced here. I remember these pit stalls are extremely small, and you really have to get it perfect in the box for them to service it. So pit crew, you're all fired. But anyway, that's going to be interesting to see who actually gets the lead out of that. I don't think the 7 car is going to be the lead. No, he's not. But yeah, Dominic Lee is still the leader with all those issues.
Dominic Lee went off track this lap, going through Moss Corner. So he had a pretty sizable lead, but oh, he hit the wall even going through Moss Corner. You can see some right front damage. Nope, that is left front. I don't know my lefts from my rights. He's got some left side damage on that number 2 truck. So, you know, maybe he did some damage to the suspension, because look at right on his back bumper here is Dave Wilson. We have a battle for the race lead now. We just saw these 2 drivers reversing on pit lane, trying to get into their pit box, but now they're on track right with one another, and with that number 2 with some left side damage, Cameron, I wonder if that's going to factor into this race.
Yeah, you have to assume that he's going to be lacking in a little bit of downforce, and that's something you need, especially with that left. Actually, yeah, that is the left-hand side of the truck. So really, that's going to hurt him, and I believe, yeah, it would hurt him in the left-handers, which there really aren't any here, but still, you don't want to be lacking downforce, and I have to imagine he was. But after that sequence of pit stops, AJ Digby about 20 seconds behind these 2. Not sure why he came in either, but either way, he is in 4th spot behind the 7 of Kevin Paskowicz, about 14 seconds behind him. So I think well and truly, unless there's an issue with these 2 trucks at the front, I think he's going to have a hard time getting back into this race.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he can run down the number 7 of Kevin Paskowicz. Paskowicz is about 8 seconds off the race lead here at this point in the race. We do have some other battles throughout the field. Alan Capers and Kyle Zimmer, that's a battle for the 6th position. And looks like, the 13 of Capers off the track there. That's going to give that position to Kyle Zimmer. Once again, commentators curse striking again as Capers went off track. Capers actually coming down pit road this time. He's one of the drivers who has yet to pit. Christopher Burge is the other driver yet to pit, still out on his 25 lap old tires. As
Dave Wilson is there for the lead on Dominic Lee.
He's just kind of right up behind him, drafting all the way down the Mario Andretti straightaway. Oh man, Wilson was hard on the brakes there, closed up right to the back bumper of the number 2 machine.
And these two trucks coming up to lap the 32 of Billy Wise. I saw him go off track a little bit, but no damage to that vehicle. Very clean looking truck right there. But these two trucks behind him, not so clean, at least the 2 is not. Probably, driving for all he's worth to keep in front of that 20 truck. Of course, that 20 truck very, very fast. He did run the 2 and the 14 down just a little bit after he made his issue, taking some grass right there. Landscaping, but are all good on that front. Just gonna get odd 32 here. No harm, no foul there. Just lets him go. And I've been watching this battle for a little bit, and it looks like the one spot where Dave Wilson really makes up a lot of time is right here in Moss Corner. He's really good on the brakes, and Dominic Lee gets a little bit sideways, probably just moving that brake bias back a little bit to get all he can and snap the truck sideways in a hurry.
Yeah, and Dave's going to have a really good run. He looks like he's a little bit later on the brakes here into turn number 8. Oh, look at that. Yeah, really late on the brakes there. Closes right up on the back. Ooh, he's going to try going around the left side of Dominic Lee. He's pinching that number 2 truck. They're going to go into turn number 9 side by side. And look at that. Dave Wilson, he had to get on the brakes, I think, a little bit earlier. But now he's going to try and do the over-under. He's going to get a great run out of turn number 10. They're side by side for the race lead, going down there through the stripe, down into turn number 1. Dave Wilson has the preferred line. Contact between those 2 trucks. They're still going to be side by side. Now Dominic Lee has the preferred line into turn number 2. And I don't think Wilson's going to be able to do anything there. He's going to show his nose once again. They're still side by side. What amazing racing between these 2 drivers up in the front.
Yeah, this is good stuff, and out of all of that, Dominic Lee still holds the lead, and that's a pretty impressive drive by both of them, because they did hit each other quite a few times, and no one went spinning or went careening off the track. And we still do have about 15, or yeah, 16, 17, 18 to go. I don't know numbers. I don't know. We're just up here for the show. We're just happy to be here, but either way, these 2 trucks are passing the floor of Nate Catilla. He just lets them by. Good driving there. Dave Wilson
Dave
going
Wilson.
on the grass.
Wilson's got to the inside of that number 2 truck. They're going to be side by side this time going into turn number 8, but Wilson's got the preferred line, and I think that number 20 is going to take it here. He goes really deep into turn number 8, and indeed he does. Dave Wilson back out front. It's been quite a few laps since we last saw this number 20 pace the field here, but he's made a few mistakes. He's found a way to get back up to the front, and once again, Dave Wilson leads here at Motorsport, and all the Canadian fans here would be really excited to see one of their own back out front.
And something we haven't talked about, Kevin Paskowicz in that 7 machine, the fastest truck on track, ran about half a second, or about 7/10 quicker than both of these trucks last lap. Of course, I think Dave Wilson, now that he's in front of the 2, he's going to probably set sail. We've seen him be super quick, but definitely I think that 7 a little bit faster than the 2. So we'll see if that battle does brew up here in just a little bit. But good stuff so far in this race. And we 17 laps to go.
Now, if you're Dave Wilson, you've made some mistakes in this race already, and I don't want to jinx him, as Billy Wise has gone off track in the Moss Corner. There he is, getting back underway. Let's watch this on replay. But if I'm Dave Wilson, I definitely got to minimize those mistakes.
Yeah, you really do, and especially now that I think it's well and truly clear that he is the fastest truck. That's a hard hit for the 32 in that tire barrier, but he looks to be all right after that. I think Dave Wilson is well and truly the fastest truck here. He's running some extremely quick lap times when he gets going. And of course, the 2 has damage a little bit, so that truck is not 100%, but I think Dave Wilson just needs to pace himself, and like you said, Peter, just take it easy, and he probably will have his 8th win of the season. But that's why we win these races, and we still have 16 laps to go. Anything can happen, and we've seen that it certainly will happen.
Yeah, like I said, you know, you got to have an endurance race attitude for this one, because you know, it's never over till it's over. We still have 16 laps to go. With 16 laps to go, that's just about 50 miles. So, as look at this battle. This is Kyle Zimmer getting really close to Chris Roberge Roberge still out there. He's in the 5th position, but Roberge is yet to pit. He's got 29 laps on his tires. So really impressive to see Chris Roberge out there still turning all of those laps on those old tires. You'd think he'd be wanting to get some fresh ones at this point in the race, as Kyle Zimmer, he does have some fresher tires, and Zimmer's going to dive down to the inside here through Quebec corner and make that pass. That pass is for the 5th position, so give that one to Kyle Zimmer. There's about 21 seconds back to Kevin Cochran, who's racing with Fernando Matos for the 7th position.
Ooh, Zimmer missed the corner. I think he's going to get the better runoff and stay ahead of the 9.8 here. Yeah, just it's like the 98 just kind of backed out of it a little bit. Says, you know, I know you got fresher tires, so I'm not going to battle you too hard. I have to imagine. I don't know the fuel really run for these trucks, but I have to imagine that 98 will have to pit. I don't think they can no stop this race as he goes off the track, because we're talking about him, of course. Commentator's curse once again. But I don't know if Peter, I don't know if you know that, but I can't imagine he can stay out, and actually, as I say that, he comes into pit road, so that's a moot point at this point.
Yeah, basically, yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Kevin Paskowicz, he's running in the 3rd position. He's not really making any ground on Dominic Lee anymore in that number 7 truck. And if you look just behind him, there's Nate Catilla, but Catilla is currently 2 laps down in the 11th position. So Paskowicz, he's got about 8 seconds out in front of him, and he's got about 11 or 12 seconds back to AJ Digby in the number 14. So for Paskowicz, you know, just run your race at this point. Just try and keep it smooth, and you know, see that, and I'd hope that you can get a good break and maybe work your way up into a top 2 finish, or maybe even a win if we get some issues up at the front. As we're getting word that Chris Roberge, he also struggled to get into his pit box, finally did. There is Dave Wilson in the number 20, just working his way around. Roberge fixes all of his damage as he heads off pit road. And you see just flashing through your screen there was driver number 17. That driver is Fernando Matos in the Javelin machine. He's currently the last car on the lead lap. Right in front of him, though, about 2.5 seconds up the road, is Kevin Cochran. And I've been watching those two. They've been turning very similar lap times. Last time by, Cochran about 4/10 faster than Matos. So definitely those two drivers are pretty equal on pace, and we'll have to see if a battle comes up out of those two as this race continues to progress. Cochran running in the 7th position there as he flashes by the stripe. In fact, this time I think Cochran had a really good lap time compared to Matos this time, because that lead that Cochran has over Matos grew to 12 seconds. So just as I'm speaking about these drivers, you know, bad things happen, and Dave Wilson probably hoping right now that I don't mention his name anymore, but I am the commentator, he is the race leader, and there he is on the screen going through turn number 2. He's got a little bit of lap traffic there with Tom Johnson to deal with.
I tell you what, Peter, that 20 truck is running some quick lap times. He just ran a 1 minute 20.9 last lap, and his fastest lap of the race so far is a 1:20.8, and he has 8 laps on the tires. So a really impressive showing of speed out of that truck, and really see the 17 have some issues up here. Had a little bit of brake lockup, but everything good on that machine. But yeah, Dave Wilson really setting sail here.
Yeah, and to put that into perspective right now, Dave Wilson is the only driver in the 120. In fact, he's only one of 2 drivers in the below a 122 flat. The only other driver last time by was Kevin Cochran, who ran a 121.9. Chris Roberge back on pit road in that number 98 machine. Not sure why, but I wonder if Roberge got struck with the same thing that Digby got struck with. Not sure what that might be. We'll have to see if we can catch up with some of these drivers after the race, some of the officials, and see if we can figure out what that call was. But definitely both of those drivers had to come down pit road twice, and poor old Digby, he's now trying to work his way back from that. He's just under 10 seconds behind Kevin Paskowicz in the 3rd position. But there is Paskowicz in that number 7 machine.
Yeah, Digby's probably going to be wondering after this race what could have been if it weren't for those issues on pit road. But really, I mean, pit road issues seem to be the story of this race so far. It seems like everyone had issues, so you know, it's just one of those parts of racing.
Yeah, absolutely. As Ryan Lowhead has pulled his machine off track. Ooh, Billy Wise, number 32 has gone around in turn number 2. And he's going to back almost into the path of 25 of Kyle Zimmer. But he's going to get that number 32 machine going straight. Now, hopefully Kyle Zimmer got the car stopped ahead as we watch this on replay. Looks like Billy Wise just got a little bit loose from him in turn number 2. Pretty easy to do there. Luckily, he able to not make too much contact with the inside wall.
That's what we call a new underwear moment for Zimmer right there. See that? That's just something that makes you go oof, like in the car, and it's not fun really.
Yeah, and you know, all credit to Kyle Zimmer. We've seen him have some troubles in this race, but oh man, look at that! The Kevin Paskowicz trying to get around Tom Johnson. Johnson looked like he was off track there for an instance, and 7 of Paskowicz worked his way around the outside. Good job for both of those drivers keeping it on track. No incident points there, as you see the number 17, Fernando Matos. He's trying to close up on Kevin Cochran, but Cochran has set sail from him. Cochran is now quite a few seconds in front of Fernando Matos, and Matos is ahead of Billy Wise. Billy Wise is the next man behind him, and of course Billy Wise with that spin last lap definitely not helping his chances to catch the number 17 of Matos. When Kevin Cochran is the last driver on the lead lap. He's about 1 minute 10 seconds off the race lead. But like I was saying, Kyle Zimmer, we saw him get into some trouble earlier. Definitely doing a good job of keeping that number 25 truck clean in the second half of the race so far. And not quite sure if he'll be able to catch AJ Digby. Digby's 32 seconds up the road from Kyle Zimmer, but definitely Kyle Zimmer's, you know, he's hitting laps that should keep him ahead of Kevin Cochran if he can keep that number 25 on the track. But Paskowicz just keeping it nice and smooth here. Let's see if we can get an onboard with that number 7 truck here as he meanders his way around this track. And it's such a fun track here as you go off into turn number 4, because the track just falls away from you and you're hard on the brakes here into turn number 5 and turn number 6.
Yeah, that's a beautiful looking truck. I love the purple on that. Really a big fan of that truck.
And definitely a great looking machine, and great to see them race their way through the trees. I always think that's one of the coolest things about motorsport, is just the fact that, you know, you're in and amongst the trees, and it adds to the element of speed as these trucks go around the track. And 160 miles an hour down the Mario Andretti straightaway is so fast, and it just looks so much faster as they race past all of those trees.
Yeah, and speaking of speed, the gap to the lead, or gap from the lead to second place, is 10.8 seconds. And real quick, under 10 to go, let's just go ahead and run through the field real quick. David Wilson, your leader. Dominic Lee, second. Kevin Paskowicz, third. AJ Digby, fourth. Kyle Zimmer, fifth. Kevin Cochran, Fernando Matos, Alan Capers, Billy Wise, and Chris Roberge round out your top 10. Nate Contilla, 11th. Tom Johnson, 12th. Brian Lowhead and Matthew Lesniewski, both off the track.
So I'm watching average lap times currently, and Dave Wilson, he's averaging a second faster than Dominic Lee and Kevin Paskowicz. AJ Digby, he's definitely faster than the 2 trucks in front of him. In fact, he's averaging about 0.6 of a second faster than both Lee and Paskowicz. But now at 9 laps to go. He's running out of time. He's about 6 seconds behind Paskowicz, so it might just give Digby enough time to close up to the back of that number 7 machine, but we'll have to wait and see. Digby definitely has to keep it nice and clean as Dave Wilson's working through some lap traffic. Number 13 of Alan Capers goes, oh no, Alan Capers hard in the inside wall coming out of the first corner. And that number 13 truck he's stopped on track. He's going to have to wait for some other trucks to come through here. Looks like he's going to take a tow. But he was already slow on track here. Not quite sure. He might have had some damage maybe from a prior incident. And it looks like it just all of a sudden snapped into the wall.
Yeah, and he was running 8th position too, so that's definitely going to drop him down a little bit. Want to see that. Having a pretty good run. But yeah, I'm not sure what happened there either. It looks like the truck just shot right for some reason. And that is a pretty low grip part of the track and kind of an awkward corner to negotiate. So, you know, maybe he just got on the gas a little bit too early and just kind of swung the truck out a little bit too much. Oh, Kyle Zimmer having issues here. It's like he spun on the front stretch.
Definitely got a lot of rear end damage on that number 25 truck. Here's the replay. Oh man, he just fishtailed it all the way down the front straightaway. No damage here. Oh man, it was right when he backed into that wall there. Gave him a lot of rear end damage in that number 25 truck, but definitely still going out there. He's getting a little bit closer behind him is Kevin Cochran. In fact, Cochran is pretty close. They're on the same straightaway. There he is, driving the number 80 machine. So now Cochran can put up the crosshairs on that number 25 truck, see if he can close him down. That would be a battle for the 5th position if Cochran can close in. And it looks like Cochran definitely faster there through Moss Corner. So I'm wondering if that damage is affecting Kyle Zimmer as he's kind of meandering down the Mario Andretti straightaway. So I think Kyle Zimmer definitely has some damage on that truck.
Yes, and of course with that spoiler being all bent up, he's a little out of whack there, but yeah, that's definitely going to affect his rear downforce, and you can kind of see his truck kind of just wobbling around the corner. Not going to be fun to drive for the next 7 laps, but definitely rear downforce not something you want to give up here with these fast flowing corners at all.
Yeah, and Kevin Cochran now just about 1.2 seconds behind Zimmer. So that will be a battle for 5th here very quickly.
And that 80 truck, very clean. It looks like it has no damage on it, so he's had a very good run himself, keeping that truck clean and out of trouble. And you know, he's going to be smelling blood here behind the 25. He sees that truck is damaged and a little bit slow, so going to probably make his move here pretty shortly.
Yeah, and that's something we touched on earlier in the race. You know, just you got to approach it like an endurance race. You got to keep your truck clean, and if you can keep your truck clean and on the black stuff, you can come away with a pretty good finish. As that battle for the 5th position is now really, really hot. As Cochran was able to close in through Moss Corner. As you focus on your race leader, look at Dave Wilson. I mean, we only have a few trucks on the lead lap. We have 6 trucks on the lead lap. Cochran being the last truck on the lead lap, but that man right there, Dave Wilson, just laying down unbelievable lap times, as is, honestly, AJ Digby. Digby, last lap ran a 121.056, which was the fastest lap on the circuit. In fact, Digby last lap was 2.4 seconds faster than Paskowicz, so if you're a Digby fan, I think he definitely will now have the time to close up on that 7 truck. So we could see a battle not only for the 5th position, but a battle for the 3rd position brewing here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for the MS Ford Truck Series. And there is Digby.
Yeah, this battle for 5th still about as hot as ever, and definitely Digby catching Paskowicz quite a bit. So, like you said, going to have a battle for 5th and for 3rd here. And we'll see what happens. Kevin Cochran looking on Digby, or not Digby, excuse me, that is Kyle Zimmer. Ooh, Kyle Zimmer drives it deep into Moss Corner, and he's going to go out wide and actually into the gravel a little bit, but gathers it back up, and he gets a pretty good run off the corner, all things considering.
Yeah, I think Kevin Cochran had to back up just a little bit, and has to not run into the back of Kyle Zimmer. But Zimmer definitely got a run up off the corner. But look at this battle. We were talking about it just a moment ago, saying that we think Digby had enough time. Well, he definitely has enough time because he is pretty much there on the back bumper of Paskowicz as these two drivers now work their way through the S's. Ooh, 25 is Zimmer running way wide. It's going to open the door here for Kevin Cochran coming out of turn number 10. They're side by side right at the line, and Zimmer's just going to roll over and let Cochran by. So move Kevin Cochran in the number 80 machine up to 5th, and Digby's gotten around Paskowicz. Action happening all over the track. Paskowicz got a little bit sideways coming out onto the Mario Andretti straightaway, and Digby got a fantastic run. Digby pulls left, and I think Paskowicz might have just got out of the gas a little bit on the straightaway and said, "Here you go, bud, you can have it." As now Digby has moved into the 3rd position here with 4 laps to go at Canadian Tire Motorsports.
Yeah,
Park.
now that's something. Both of our best battles on track and in the same spot. Ooh, Zimmer sideways into Moss corner. He's in the grass and almost in the wall, but he's going to gather it back up. And there's the leader, Dave Wilson, to put him 1 lap down. I have to think that like you said, Peter, the handling of that truck is very much wrecked, and that probably is why he just let the 80 by, because he figures that he is just has too much damage to put up a fight. But move him 1 lap down.
And if you're keeping track at home, or if you're watching that gap number at the top of your screen, that number isn't wrong, folks. Dave Wilson currently has an 18-second lead over Dominic Lee in that number 2 truck. So definitely Dave Wilson has found the speed here in the second half of this race and has turned on the jets. I'm sure he's lucky he finally made it into his pit stall, because that could have been the end of his race, but finally was able to find that pit stall and has used those fresh tires to full advantage. It's making that pit stop around halfway. We only have 3 more laps. It's about 7.5 miles. Ooh, Dominic Lee got really sideways into turn number 1, was able to corral it, but definitely didn't quite have the run through turn 1 that he was looking for. But luckily for Dominic Lee, he's got about 6 seconds back to AJ Digby, and Digby's been on a charge, but I don't quite think Digby has enough time to catch Dominic Lee. But I said that before with Paskowicz, that it would have been close, and he was able to run him down. So we'll have to keep an eye on what Digby can do on Dominic Lee here with just a few laps remaining. You can't quite see them in the same shot. That's the number 17 of Fernando Matos. He is currently 7th, 1 lap down. In fact, the next car in front of Matos is Kyle Zimmer in the 25, but Zimmer's quite a few seconds up the road from Matos. But this time by, there will be only 2 laps to go, and Dave Wilson already coming out of the final corner to take that 2 laps to go. So it seems like this race has all of a sudden it's kind of had a lot of action there about 2 laps ago, but everyone made those moves and everyone's kind of set sail. Digby now a couple seconds in front of Paskowicz, and Dominic Lee, he's having to deal with a little bit of pressure from behind from Matos, the lapped car, but I wouldn't expect Matos to show too much nose to that number 2 machine at this point in the race. But ooh, did you see that top of the screen there? I know there's only 2 laps to go, but that was the number 14 of AJ Digby there in the same shot as Dominic Lee. Last time by, the number 14 machine was about 1.5 seconds faster than Dominic Lee. So not, oh, Digby just ran into the grass, got a little bit sideways. Look at this, Digby struggling to get that number 14 truck going straight. He ran wide coming out of turn number 3, and I would think that will all but end his chances of running down Dominic Lee. But you know, commentator's curse, it does strike as Digby now comes out of Moss Corner onto the Mario Andretti straightaway. Is Dave Wilson here? He's gonna come out of turn number 10 and take the white flag here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and I'm sure that Canadian driver will be ecstatic if he can bring home a win on home turf.
Yeah, and what a way to do it, of course, making that mistake early on and getting about 12 seconds behind the leaders, and you know, effectively making it all up himself. You could say that pit stops played a role, but of course he had issues too, just as everybody else did, and really just been really quick all race and made up that time all by himself just by being really quick. And it's going to be a great drive for him when he can bring it home.
Going through Moss Corner for the final time, that number 20 of Dave Wilson. He's got Kevin Cochran right in front of him. Cochran, the last truck on the lead lap. He's about 1 minute 20 seconds behind Dave Wilson as they head down the Mario Andretti straightaway for the final time now. And that number 20 truck, just a whole bunch of clean track behind him. Doesn't have to worry about anything. No pressure from behind. He's going to work his way through the S's, turn number 8 here into turn number 9. And before he cuts hard right through turn number 10, Dave Wilson takes win number 8 of the season in dominant fashion here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. A Canadian winning on Canadian soil.
Yeah, what a drive by that driver. The gap at the end, absolutely massive. Dominic Lee just coming through the last complex corners right now, and he is going to come home in second place. Not to discredit him whatsoever, though. He drove a fantastic race himself, had a bit of issues, got some damage, and just could not do anything with it. AJ Digby coming out of the last corner now. He's going to take third. Fourth going to be Kevin Paskowicz, and rounding up your top 5 and your lead lap trucks, is Kevin Cochran. Well, that was a fantastic race, Peter.
Yeah, definitely Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. It lived up to what I expected it to be, with a great race and some great passes, and you know, kind of just making the fewest mistakes there at the end to get the race win is the number 20 of Dave Wilson. And you know, really impressive drive by AJ Digby. He had to make that double pit stop, where I'm really curious to know what he has to say about that. But he made that double pit stop there at halfway, and still came back to finish in the third position, only about 28 seconds behind Dave Wilson. But you factor in an extra pit stop, and you know, that could pretty much be the race, because their pit road time was about 30-something seconds. Yeah, I'm actually seeing that AJ Digby's pit road time was 36.8 seconds there at the end, and so that definitely cost him. But Dave Wilson going to burn it down here on the front stretch with that number 20 machine, and whoop, a little bit of yeah, definitely not going to pass inspection after those two little nicks with the wall, playing a little bit of yo-yo with the wall, bouncing back and forth, but he's finally able to burn it down here and definitely getting that win on home. So I'm sure it's pretty sweet, because this is the only race in Canada that we have this season. Nate Catilla, he's going to come up in that number 4 machine and do some congratulatory burnouts alongside that number 20. Always cool to see 2 trucks doing burnouts on the front stretch at any racetrack. Oh, that's a wall again.
Just making sure that truck will absolutely not pass tech inspection. But as he celebrates, I've caught up with AJ Digby here. AJ, this is 3xTV. You get a copy?
Yeah, I do.
All right, man. Well, I can hear the frustration in your voice already. Definitely a good run, all things considering. But you led 9 laps for one of the quickest trucks in the race. Tell us about your race and what happened there on pit road.
Started off really good, qualified pretty well. I was pretty happy with it, and I could have gone faster, but there was no need to push it. Definitely can't take an off track or something that's going to not allow you to qualify, especially at a road course. So just wanted to make sure I got a lap in. Starting second was okay, and I don't know if Dave spun the tires or what on the restart, but got a really good jump right when green hit, and then was trying to work, because technically you're not allowed to pass the leader, but because the green had already waved, I had gone, so I got that black flag cleared. But in that process, I wasn't focused, overran the corner, and dropped back to second anyway. And then just was behind Dave. He went off track and spun, and then I kind of just was on cruise control, knowing that I had a decent lead and wanted to save some tires, save options or whatever. And so I was kind of on cruise control. Dominic caught me and ended up passing me, but I really wasn't pushing that hard. Had a great pit stop, and I am on the replay right now, and I was 2 mile an hour too fast on exit. Just enough to get a black flag, and that pretty much ruined my race from there. It was a 15-second hold plus whatever 15 seconds to drive through pit road again. So, but that pretty much cost my race right there. I felt like by pitting 1 lap sooner and getting a lap of fresher tires, I was going to be able to jump Dominic and take over the lead, and should have theoretically won from there because I would have been able to push like I did at the end. But you know, that's just driver error, mental mistake, and unacceptable really. But at the end of the day, to be able to have a black flag 15-second hold and to be able to bounce back and run that hard to get to third, I was, you know, I could salvage it.
Yeah, definitely nothing to be ashamed of whatsoever. You drove one heck of a race. You know, we kind of talked before the race about pit road, how that could be an issue. I wasn't expecting it to be an issue like that, but we saw a lot of trucks miss their box really and kind of had to really weave their way around and get in there. Were you kind of expecting that to be a thing tonight?
I had practiced pit road entry and exit multiple times. I knew that because we were having a green flag stop, I'd want to be as quick as I could onto pit road, as well as getting off on that corner well. And during practicing, I realized that very much so that it would say you're too far right, even though you're not really too far right. So I don't know exactly what all that was about, but I knew going into the race that I needed to be on the left side of the box, so I had a really smooth entry into the box, and never in practice had I been speeding coming out of pit road. And I think especially from the second box, normally you can gun it with the line right there no matter what the mile per hour is, and just being slightly downhill, and I got a good release, and it was just enough to be 2 mile an hour over. So
yeah, absolutely. And well, we are done with the lefts and the rights for the season. Next we go to Sin City for some more left turns at Vegas. I have to assume you're going to be pretty good as far as the playoffs go. You are the first driver without a win in the point standings, so I think you're all but locked into the next round. But how are you looking forward to the Las Vegas race?
Oh, we'll see how it goes. I've always felt pretty decent there. Not necessarily fantastic, but I'm pretty much doing exactly how I won the championship last year, and just having consistently third place finishes the whole season. So all I got to do is have a decent, clean race and move on to the next round. Obviously, I want to go in, but at the end of the day, I can't do anything too detrimental, and really just have to finish at a decent spot and be fine moving into the next round. But we'll see what happens. It's Vegas. Sometimes you got to gamble, and sometimes you got to fold them. So.
All right, AJ. Well, very cool. As always, thank you for talking with us very much. Congratulations on your third place finish. But before we let you go, we know you have some shout-outs for us.
Yeah, as always, thanks to you guys for putting on a great broadcast, Jeff for putting on a great league, and these guys for having an amazing race on a road course. I mean, I honestly didn't expect people to be this good, and it was awesome to see. Great to see us on a road course, and thanks to my spotter Kevin Vollmer. Brian Newton was also up in the box with me, and it's interesting, you know, you're always searching for the extra mile an hour, and I just got the 2 mile an hour in the wrong spot and ended my race. But thanks to you guys again, and I'll see you Wednesday, and then see you next week.
All right, and before I let you go, I just want to give a shout out to you for being featured on the NCAA.com video. That was a very cool thing to watch, so really cool. We mentioned it during the broadcast, but everybody should definitely go check that out. Very, very cool stuff there.
Thank you very much.
All right, that was your third place finisher, AJ Digby, and Peter Short has caught up with Dominic Lee.
Dominic Lee, Peter Short here with 3 Wide TV. Got a copy, bud?
I sure do, guys.
All right, man. Man, it was kind of an up-down race. You led 15 laps in this one, but looked like you got some left front damage there going through Moss Corner. Did that put a damper on your race? And just talk us through the race as you saw it.
Yeah, after that damage to the left front, we were destroyed. We had no speed whatsoever on the straightaways, and that basically ruined our race. Really disappointed. but that was probably a race to lose there, and I definitely lost it there. But yeah, that definitely was a bummer there. I thought for sure after David spun early in the race that he probably was going to catch me just looking at the times, but if I just kept on hitting consistent lap times like I was, that I was maybe going to be able to hold him off. But after I came out of the pits, I just overcorrected that down there in the one corner there and just destroyed the left front, ruined my race.
Yeah, definitely I can say you're not the first person to have a race taken away from you in Moss Corner, but definitely you showed some pace here tonight, and of course you're a newcomer with the league. Of course, last week at Bristol was your first race with us, but next week we go to Las Vegas, which is quite a bit faster than Mosport, and you only get to turn left. So what are your thoughts about Vegas? A lot of drivers really love that place, myself included.
Yeah, I like Vegas. I don't like the full throttle that we have to go there, so I'll definitely probably be a longer run driver. But I definitely like going back to the all left turn track.
Yeah, definitely. Road courses are not for everyone. You either love them or you hate them. But definitely we'll be going left turns from here on out for the remainder of this season. But before we let you go, Dominic, any shout-outs for us?
Well, I have to give a shout-out to you guys for putting on such a great broadcast, and Jeff for putting on such a great league as well. And then I have to give a shout-out to Dave and AJ for just, us three were the top three pretty much the whole race, and Dave had his issues early in the race, but he fought back and him and I had such a great battle there for a few laps. Granted, I had some damage and I was holding him up, but he raced me hard and clean, and AJ did as well, and that's what it's all about. It's not about moving somebody out of the way to get by them or anything. It's about racing hard and racing clean, and that's where you gain respect and just knowing and getting respect, I guess.
Absolutely, definitely. That is the best part of racing in a league, is you get to know the drivers and you hope to gain their respect week in and week out. But we'll see you next week, Dominic, at Las Vegas. Same place, same time here on 3 Wide TV. And as we let Dominic go, your race winner, Dave Wilson, in that number 20 machine, has been grabbed by Cameron Rich.
Dave Wilson, 3 Wide TV, you got a copy?
Yep.
All right, man. Well, I feel like we should just start pre-recording these interviews at this point because you're winning so much that it's getting pretty common. But anyway, what a great run! You, not without its issues, but anyway, you came home with a 23 second advantage over second place and notching your 8th win of the season. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, the start I just couldn't really find my groove yet, and I made a few errors here and there, but I was able to gather it all back together and just focus on trying to chase the leaders down. During the pit stops, it's kept on saying that I was too far right, so I messed up a little bit there, but luckily it didn't really put me back too far, and I was able to go out, fight Dominic there for 5 or 6 laps I think it was, and then once I got by him I just focused on the road ahead and just hoped that I didn't make any errors.
Yeah, we did see you have a little bit of issues there and had some issues on pit road, and that looked like a big deal tonight. I saw pretty much every driver in the field have issues there. Was that something you were expecting, or did it just kind of bite you there at the moment?
Yeah, I didn't really check it out before the race to see how the pit stops would be, but apparently it is something that happens on this pit road. I don't know why, nobody really knows, but unfortunately whenever you do go on the pits, right in the middle of it, it says that you're too far right, so you gotta try to be almost right on the far left of it, which is kind of hard to plan while you're in the middle of pit stops, but luckily, like I said, it did happen to a lot of people, as you said, and it's something that will hopefully be fixed. But yeah, I'm just glad that it didn't really affect too many people too bad.
Yeah, and we were also talking about how, you know, in sim racing it's not as prevalent as it is in real life, but we gotta imagine it's probably pretty cool for you to win on home soil, even though it's quite a bit of ways away from your home, I guess. But you know, still, I always say that it's cool to win at your home track, at least the closest thing I can consider to my home track. Did you ever think about that during practice or the race or qualifying or anything?
Yeah, I was really hoping for a win on this track, not just because it's the first road course we had here, but it is the only NASCAR track that is in Canada. So I was really hoping to get this win. Luckily, I did with the unfortunate events that happened at the beginning. But like I said before, I was somehow able to just focus on the road ahead and just pray that nothing bad happened.
All right. Well, we did hear you last week after finishing second in Bristol say that you were a little bit upset you weren't able to get that automatic berth into the next round of the playoffs, but you finally did get that with the win tonight. So we do have the left turns back at Las Vegas next week. How are you looking forward to that race?
I don't have the most experience on the track, but I'm just, now that I'm locked in, it's not too much of a worry for me right now. It's more so just gonna be trying to just race it out and just hope for the best.
All right, man. Well, as always, thank you so much for talking to us at 3Y TV. But before we let you go, we're going to give you an opportunity to throw your shoutouts out.
Yeah, I'd like to first start off with thanking you guys up here in the booth every week for broadcasting these races and commentating them every week. And I've said this almost every week so far, but it's always nice to go back and watch the races afterwards, especially as the driver. You can only see your one perspective, so it's always nice to go see what happened throughout the race. I'd like to thank Jeff Schmidt, the owner of SimPossible Racing League, for making this possible every single week as well. Without him, these races would not be possible, and it's always a blast every week. We all have a great time. It's really starting to grow into a family here at SimPossible, so it's always a good thing to look forward to next week. Or it's always a good thing to look at the next week for the next race and just being able to race with these guys.
Yeah, very true. And of course, we love watching them up here in the booth and commentating. It's always fun that you guys put on such a good show. But thank you so much for talking to us, Dave, and hope to talk to you again next week.
Yes, thank you.
Well, Cameron, that was a spectacular race, and like Dave said, you know, for the first road course race, I think SimPossible Racing League is really going somewhere. They're, you know, doing new things. They've done dirt, now they've done road courses, and it sets us up for some great races. And I'm here with league owner Jeff Schmidt. And Jeff, that was an absolute fantastic show that these guys put on tonight.
Oh, no doubt about it. I am extremely impressed, as always.
Yeah, I definitely am thoroughly impressed too. I mean, we had some great side-by-side racing there right at the end of the race, battling for positions, battle for fifth, battle for third. These drivers definitely putting on a show. But, you know, the trucks are only one part of the league, as we now have the B car on Wednesday night. Tell us what you have in store for not only the trucks, as we're now in the first stage of the chase. We're in the second round. We now have the third round of the first group of the chase next week. But also tell us a little bit about the B car series that's going on as well.
Yeah, those races are quite a bit longer than our truck races, as they should be. You know, we started with our truck series here, then started that B car series, and then eventually in year 2020 we want to do Cup series. So I thought it would be a nice thing to progressively work towards, you know, the faster vehicles. The faster they get, the harder they are to drive. but these guys do such an amazing job that they don't have any struggles or problem with handling them B cars. Yeah, on Wednesday we go to Las Vegas in that car for 133 laps, so definitely looking forward to that. The Atlanta race was amazing that those guys put on last week Wednesday. They went, I think, close to 50 laps, green flag, and a hot slick track. So just extremely impressed, and always looking forward to our next races.
Yeah, absolutely. If you did not see that Atlanta B Car Series race from last week, definitely go check it out here on 3 Wide TV because it was quite a show. Well, Jeff, we're here each and every week, and you keep giving us these shout-outs, but I know you have some shout-outs once again to give people who make this league possible, and also just help you out.
Absolutely. Want to go ahead and give a shout-out to Dale Cachera with MS Forward, a gym out of Omaha, Nebraska, the main series sponsor here for the trucks. He definitely helped out huge with what he's done for us, and we just want to say that we really appreciate it, and with his help we were able to do a lot of cool stuff, like help drivers get tracks and different things that we're able to donate to the drivers, and just really cool stuff. So thank you, Daryl. Check them out on Facebook, or their website is msforward.org. You guys with 3Y TV, you guys do an amazing job broadcasting every single race, and you've been here, basically from the start. So really, really appreciate what you guys do. Anyone out there watching, make sure to give them a like and subscribe. Definitely worth it. Such an awesome broadcaster. You guys do an amazing job, so thank you. Let's see the drivers, the fans, their friends, family. Every driver here has a form of disability, whether it be, a little more severe or maybe not so severe. It doesn't really matter. It's, it's not good to have. I mean, I wouldn't say that there's anything that's so not severe that, it wouldn't be considered still really bad. And we feel for everyone and their families. To live with a disability in a family is not an easy thing to do. Being a caretaker is not easy. It's just a lot of loving people that made these drivers who they are, and we appreciate their families for making them awesome, because they sure are awesome. SimPossible Racing League, check us out on Facebook too. If you want to learn some more about the drivers, we posted some videos up recently. AJ Digby's got a really cool video, and Fernando Matos has a really cool video up there, so check them out. You can learn a little bit about the drivers. And our website, if you are disabled or know a disabled individual that wants to race with us, go to the website, SimPossibleRacing.com, fill out a driver sign-up form, and we'll have you out here on track.
Absolutely. Well, that just about sums everything up, Jeff. You did a fantastic job there, hitting all the points, and we thank you for joining us up here in the broadcast booth once again, and we'll see you Wednesday night, because we got those B-Car series this week.
Yes, sir. We'll see you then. Looking forward to it.
All right. Well, that's league owner and organizer Jeff Schmidt. And we now have the final results. Cameron, take it away.
Well, coming home with win, absolutely stellar drive by Dave Wilson, dominantly. No discredit to him. He drove a fantastic race himself, finishing second. AJ Digby, what could have been, but what was a position number 3 finish. Kevin Paskovich, quiet night for him, but coming home with a 4th place. Kevin Cochran the same, coming home with the top 5. Kyle Zimmer had some issues there at the end, lost the handling of the truck, and fell out of the top 5, but coming home with 6th. He was last week's winner, so he is good for the next round of the playoffs. Fernando Matos coming home 1 lap down in 7th place. Chris Roberge, the other Canadian in the field, coming home 8th. Billy Wise had some issues there, we saw, but still coming home 2 laps down in position number 9, and Nate Cotillo rounding off your top 10.
The 11th place finisher is the number 13 of Alan Capers. Tom Johnson in the number 56 comes home in 12th, 3 laps down. Brian Lowhead and league newcomer Matthew Lesniewski rounds out your field. And let me tell you, Matthew, if you watch this broadcast, definitely it's not the easiest track to start your SimPossible Racing League career because all of the left and the right turns. But next week, we will be back at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for a whole bunch more left turns and no right turns, hopefully, for those drivers here on 3Wide TV. Want to give a shout out to SimTV. Want to thank them for letting us use their cameras each and every week to get these awesome shots all the way around the track. Want to thank Carlos Acosta, the man manning all of these cameras each and every week, doing such an awesome job. And of course, Cameron Rich for joining me up here in the booth. We might not be able to count sometimes, and we might just kind of fall over our own words a couple times like I did just there, but man, oh man, we have a lot of fun bringing the SimPossible MS4 Truck Series to you. So until next week at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, we wish you all a good evening, and we'll see you then.
And very quick before we go off air, if you don't want to wait till next Monday to go to Las Vegas, we do have the B-Car Series here on Wednesday, every week on 3Wed TV, so just a little shout out there. Make sure to check that out. But as Peter said, have a good night, everyone.